So tell us a little bit about the transformation of space into the Hewitt Hall it is today, in terms of how it happened and why it happened.
So the transformation of Hewitt and the transformation of Tyler Hall before it really delivers on almost 20 years of planning for the School of Communication, Media and the Arts, now the College of Communication, Media and the Arts. We have always been chasing this idea of artistic convergence. And so now to have these beautiful buildings and spaces right across from one another in an arts corridor where our students, our faculty, and our staff can come and go and work and play with one another is really going to deliver on that idea of artistic convergence.
Fantastic. How in a ways, this is obviously a very famous building that has had a role for generations of alumni. Can you talk about how this fits into and carries on that building's tradition?
Sure. So one of the more satisfying outcomes that was really unintended for me, I didn't expect in the renovation of this building, was learning about the history of the building. And so it was built as the student union in the late 1960s. And so it was a place for community. It was a place for people to build relationships, to connect with one another, and to find their sense of belonging. And that all made sense. You know, you think that's what a student union is supposed to do. But what I later learned, primarily through some of our alumni that sit on the College of Communication, Media and the Arts Advisory Board, is that this place was a hub for activism and social justice. And so the litany of civil rights leaders that came through this building, the crucial conversations that took place between our students of color and administration, it all happened in this building. And so one of the goals, I think, of this building is to not shed that history, to really lean into the ideas of community and belongingness. I mean, when we walk around later on, you'll see that this really is a space that's built for people to connect with one another. And so that part is preserved.
What are some of the key ways this renovated buildings will better serve our students, their futures, and our future?
So I do want to quote our fantastic colleague, Michael Rickey, who's the chair of the Department of Communication Studies, and he was doing an alumni podcast probably over a year ago, and he had this really great phrase that this is the building we deserve. So full credit to Michael for the very clever catchphrase, but he's absolutely right. We know that we have fantastic programs, and we've always taught our students on industry standard or better equipment and technology. But to now be doing it in Tyler and Hewitt in these really gorgeous spaces that sort of promote collaboration, that spark intellectual curiosity is really something special. And so the ability to work in a beautiful space and still get that world-class teaching from your faculty and your staff is really exciting.
So what are some of your favorite features of your space? Like, talking about advanced technological features and that kind of thing, because I know there's a lot going on here. But, talk a little bit about, they're all great, but talk a little bit about what your favorite space is.
Yeah, so first of all, let's acknowledge how absolutely stunning this building is. And so I would be remiss if I didn't give credit to our team in major projects, deans that had come before me, administrators, faculty, and staff that have worked so hard for this moment to get to this really, really beautiful space. So I want to say thank you to everyone who made this possible for our current and future students. I will say that, having been in and worked in Hewitt Union in its previous iteration, it was a very dark place. And so in terms of thinking about favorite spaces in the building, for me, the collaborative core is just transformational. So I can remember very early on when the building was gutted and they had just installed the skylight basically in the building to bring in natural light. So one of the big parts of this project was to bring more natural light into the building. So we have this beautiful skylight in the center of the building. We've got more and new windows and all of that. And you can feel the natural light even when you're in the lower level of the building. So I can remember early days when the building was just gutted. There was nothing. It looked like an empty Home Depot. And I stood in what is now the collaborative core, but under that skylight. And I had a moment. It was emotional because it is just so transformed, this building. It's absolutely gorgeous. So Right now, in terms of my favorite space, it's the collaborative core because of what it represents, but also it really showcases the transformation of the building. And then we've got so many wonderful specialized spaces that we have never had before. Again, we've always had great technology and equipment for our students, and our spaces have been okay. But now to have a designated soundstage for our film students, they don't necessarily have to constantly be filming in their res halls or going rogue in the city to find a space to film their movies. They can actually create a set now on our soundstage or in one of our small project studios. And then they can go screen their films for their audience in our brand new screening room. Our film students have never had a proper screening room for their films. And then we've got, every sort of video, audio, editing lab space, Foley rooms, all these wonderful things that you can do in the lower level of the building that we've had versions of, but never real designated spaces. I think the Foley room is one space that we're all really excited to see how that works out. And this is where our students and our faculty will create and capture live sound to put into their videos or into their films. And so that's a really fun space that we're excited to play in. Just gorgeous. On the second floor, the art studios, the foundation studio, our advanced art studio, have some of the best views in the building. You look out into the courtyard and you can see Penfield, and on the days where there aren't leaves on the trees, which is quite a bit of time in Oswego, you can see right into and you can see the lake on the other side, which is really exciting. So there's so many beautiful spaces and new spaces that we're interested and excited to play in.
Recently, what was SCMA at its founding was upgraded from a school to a college. Obviously, it better reflects the status and prepares us for the future growth. But what do you think that means to you, to our faculty, and to Worst?
It recognizes first the comprehensive nature of the work that we do in CMA. We're all united in the fact that we have methods and theories that are different across all of the disciplines, but what unites us all is that we are storytellers at heart, and we just tend to do that in different ways depending on our students and depending on the department. But what becoming a college allows us to do is to think even more creatively, but I will add collaboratively, because that really is the superpower of CMA. We are wildly interdisciplinary, wildly collaborative people. And so working towards something perhaps like a school within the college or maybe a center within the college will allow us to stretch our wings, but also lean into some of our expertise and our talents. So as an example, creating a school or a center for something like visual art, which sounds, okay, sure. But when you think about what that could mean at SUNY Oswego, it's very different than what you might see on another campus, because it would be all the best parts of CMA, and it's something that all of our academic departments could contribute to. So if it's a center for, media and visual art or something like that, we've got photography, we've got illustration, we've got video production, audio production, filmmaking, design. All of those things could be combined to create an experience for our students that is very different and very interdisciplinary, and something that would be unique to Oswego.
So touching on that, the college and all of your programs continue to evolve to meet changing needs in the world around us. Obviously, one example is the popular broadcasting and mass communication major, which is now becoming broadcast and digital media. Can you maybe talk about some of these transformations and the evolutions and how this building helps with that goal?
Yeah, so change doesn't always have to be scary. And I will say that to maybe even our alumni who might see this, I promise you we're not getting away from the fundamental principles that make our program special and fantastic and great. So, we have theory, we have history, we have these core principles of our disciplines. That will never go away. But you have to think about how we can meet the demands of the day, and we have to meet industry demands. And what I love about Oswego is that we're always focused on career readiness. We talk about being hands-on from day one. So our students will never have to wait to get into a lab or to use the equipment. They're doing that right away. And so that part is preserved. So even though we have upgraded, modernized our broadcast and digital media program, those principles still exist. But we are definitely preparing students for a very dynamic industry. I mean, they are going to have jobs that you and I have never heard of, and that's probably going to happen in 6 months. It's not 6 years from now. It's going to happen really quickly. So making sure that our students have those fundamental principles, we know they can apply them in a variety of contexts, and we know that they're going to excel.
The space also connects with changes and evolutions happening in the sphere of art and design, making those programs more interactive. Can you discuss that as well?
Sure. So one of the things that I love most about CMA and really the university overall is that we are teachers at heart, all of us, and we are really interested in merging pedagogy with industry demand. So again, those sound principles of theory, the history, that is always going to be the underpinnings of a degree at SUNY Oswego. And it's the liberal arts way. We do not shy away from being a liberal arts institution. And so when we think about changes in industry and keeping up with all of that, and again, making sure that our students are career ready, what we do best in CMA is these transferable skills. So people used to call those soft skills, which I find incredibly offensive. So let's talk about transferable skills. So when you think about a CMA graduate, what are they good at? Okay, so they have their expertise in their discipline, that's a given. But they've also engaged in critical thinking, writing, speaking. They're good at sending and receiving feedback. If you think about sitting in an art critique or something like that, that is a skill that needs to be developed in terms of your ability to be able to accept feedback, to make changes, that type of thing. Passion, creativity, improvisation, all of these are incredibly valuable skills that our students probably don't even know that they are, that they're getting and that they're perfecting while they're also studying their disciplines. And so whether it's broadcast and digital media, whether it's our relatively new program in interaction design, we know that our students are ready to meet those career needs and industry needs.
And we're having a grand opening for this place in the fall. You're looking forward to that. Not all the details are 100% worked out, I know. But can you at least discuss some of the anticipated highlights?
Sure. It's got to be more than one day, first of all. So this is going to be a 3-day celebration of all things CMA. And I do mean all things. So yes, we are here to celebrate the opening of Hewitt Hall, but we are going to celebrate all of CMA because it's such a monumental moment. This is almost 20 years of people's visions finally realized. And so one day is just not enough. So we're going to kick things off on Thursday, October 23rd with the 21st annual Dr. Lewis B. O'Donnell Media Summit. And then Saturday is going to be a great day. It's going to be chock full of programming. So we're going to have open houses for both Tyler Hall and Hewitt Hall, and that'll be for alumni, but it'll also be for community members as well, because we want to share this space with our community for sure. And then Saturday night will be a CMA reunion dinner. So you probably are aware we have a triennial communication studies reunion dinner, and this year we're going even bigger, and instead of being just communication studies, we're going to invite alumni from all across the College of Communication, Media, and the Arts, and that's going to be Saturday evening. And our current students are invited to attend that as well, so it's a great networking event for our current students.
What are you most excited about being the dean of the College of Communication, Media, and the Arts at this moment after you prepare for the next phase?
Yeah, there's so much to be excited about. I mean, it doesn't even get old walking in the building. So I think really celebrating the accomplishments, I'm excited and eager to lock arms with everyone who has played a role in making all of this possible. So backing up a little bit, we're talking about over $124 million that has been spent on the College of Communication, Media, and the Arts. So first with Tyler Hall and now with Hewitt Hall. That is absolutely remarkable. And I think celebrating the fact that the university, the state of New York know that we have winning programs, that we have successful programs, and that we have alumni that have gone on to do wonderful things. And I do want to say thank you to our alumni. They are the reason why we have nice things, and they are the reason why the state of New York and SUNY Oswego invested over $124 million. So I think in terms of celebrating that next step and what's the next phase look like, it does include locking arms with all of the people that made this happen and doing a victory lap. So that'll, we'll do that for a little while. We'll celebrate and we'll enjoy the win that we've had. But then thinking about, again, going back to your question about what does it mean to be a college now as opposed to a school? So we really want to focus on ways that we can shine a spotlight on CMA. Again, we know we have fantastic programs. We've got the receipts, literal receipts for over $124 million, but we've got a million success stories from our alumni and our current students and all the work that they're doing. So how do we shine a brighter spotlight on all of that? And how do we continue to elevate the work that we're doing? And how do we create new opportunities for our students? That's the next phase. So whether it's developing a school within the college or a center of some kind, that allows us to lean into the expertise that no one else can claim that they have. And again, part of that being our affinity for collaboration and interdisciplinary work. We don't do silos in CMA. Again, this idea of artistic convergence is the underlying sort of mantra for the college. And so finding new ways to create new dynamic programs for our students, that's the next phase for CMA.
When you've been out talking to admitted students or with open houses for students who aren't even here yet, what do you say about this building that really underscores what we're doing for them, for today's students and tomorrow's students?
I think what I tried to do very often is reassure them that it's okay to have multiple talents and multiple interests. In a way, those are the most exciting students for us to recruit at Oswego. So you're a perfect example. Nobody does just one thing anymore, right? And it would be a disservice to our students to say, okay, well, here's your degree in graphic design, go out and be a graphic designer. That's just not practical anymore. We want them to be able to do more. We want them to do other things. And so my messages to new students or to even when I'm recruiting students is it's okay to have multiple interests, multiple talents. We see that our students in CMA tend to double major and minor at a higher rate than students that are in the other colleges. And I think it does have something to do with their interests, but also they see the value in making themselves more marketable. And so pairing majors with one another. Maybe you want to be a theater major, but also a cinema and screen studies major because you're interested in filmmaking, or you want to be a film actor, so why not pair those two things together? Or graphic design and public relations, something like that. Interaction design and our audio minor. These are all really great pairings. So my messages to students are like, you don't have to just pick one thing. Let's talk about the collection of things that you're interested in that will help you achieve your career goals, make you more marketable, or ultimately just feed your soul. Let's not forget that too. So we always encourage our students, whether they're music majors or not, join the ensembles, be in the orchestra, play an instrument, sing in the choir, audition for the theater productions. The message is of that we're here for everyone and that there are many different access points in CMA, I think is a message that I try really hard to deliver when I'm in these recruitment settings.